Started back in April 1983, and I was talking to my wife one night, and I was working for Remax, one of the largest companies in the business today, and I really enjoyed myself. Wore their sweater proud, and I made the remark to her, and I have no idea why I made the remark. I said, you know, the only way you could ever outflank this company is if you had a company whereby you could make more than 100% and not pay any desk fees. And 100% is 100%. How could you make more than that? Laterally, you couldn't get there. But I went to bed that night, and she said, you know, you put your head back in the pillow, and I watched you go to sleep, and you still had your mouth open asking yourself that crazy question. And at 3:17 in the morning, I jumped out of bed, ran out to the dining room. I had the answer. Wrote it down on a piece of paper, and at that point I realized I had the solution, the ultimate solution for a lot of the problems in this business. Literally, with this idea, I could revolutionize the entire business. For 6 weeks, I was 5 feet off the ground. And then it dawned on me that I'd have to keep it a secret. And I ultimately had to keep it a secret for 13 years before I could introduce it into the marketplace. When I got out of school, I literally had no conception of what I would do for the rest of my life. Became a security gauge manager very quickly, and then I traded on the floor of the stock exchange in Toronto for 6 years. And they taught me something very important, something that was relevant and pertinent to what we've done with Exit. Most of the sheep are going off the cliff. And if you want to make any money, you got to buy and sell against the public, because the group is usually wrong. When I left the stock exchange, I went on and I took a job in the life insurance industry, and they taught me something very important, extremely important to where we're going. They taught me that the industry, the life insurance industry, had some of the best salespeople in the entire world. They weren't there because of life insurance. They had an ulterior motive. Residuals. Residuals. And you say, well, what's a residual? I don't even know what it is. So what we did was we instigated an idea into this industry whereby you could do less and make more, whereby the individual had leverage. We went one step farther. We looked at Sam Walton and what he'd done with Walmart. And Sam's idea was that if you could, you know, take the share structure of the company and divvy it up amongst his people in a certain way, he knew they would all get a piece of the action. As a result of people getting a piece of the action, he knew they'd put their hearts, minds, and souls into their jobs. They wouldn't just be an incidental bump on the log employee. And as a result of that, he built the biggest retailer in the entire world, bar none. Could I take that idea of residuals from the outside world and bring it into our inside world, whereby everybody in the entire corporation can get a piece of the action, and we can create a future for real estate agents that's never been here before, and we can create profitability potential for brokers that's never, ever ultimately been available in the real estate industry ever before? And the answer was yes. Our idea was to introduce residuals as a third dimension into the business to cure the problems. In other words, introduce this third avenue, this third income stream, a new potential which would open up everything. The real estate agent is the ultimate asset of the corporation. They are the driving engine of the business. They generate all the frontline money that pays all the bills, that creates all the future profit. When we looked at that through the eyes of the competitors, we found that that was not their perspective at all. As we started to go at this with that perspective, we built in residuals around that factor. The third dimension of real estate was going to be based on the building and stabilizing the organization through acquiring more agents, through offering a brand new opportunity. So I studied the profitability box of a brokerage very closely, and I found that you could stretch it to 10%. No higher. There was a threshold of paying right at 10. In other words, I could pay one person 10% off the top to manage that particular office, or I could pay it out residually. But for the most part, what real estate agents really do is they get autographs for a living. And If they get people to sign on the dotted line, they're that much closer to a paycheck. You could literally be the nicest person in the real estate business and starve to death if you can't get autographs. But if they could get the autograph of a real estate agent, I will pay them residually on the exit formula for the rest of that agent's career, as long as that person remains with exit any place that we exist on the continent. What if I paid you 10% off the top, 10% of the gross of the production of any real estate agent or anybody that wants to be a real estate agent to management? Any place on the continent, doesn't have to be your own office. 10% off the top for as long as they stay in this business and work for exit. Could you do anything with that? What would be an example of that? Well, say for instance it was Mary, and Mary is earning, say $70,000 a year gross, and you thought it was appropriate to, introduce her to management. So what you would have done was made that introduction, and it turns out that management is quite happy to proceed, and the license is transferred over to your brokerage at Exit. And now, as Mary goes forth and generates real estate transactions, and they close, those transactions close, you get paid 10% off the top, sent to you as a special bonus. And you say, oh, where do I get that money, that 10% bonus? Do I get it from her, Mary? No, that's against the law. Do I get it from her broker? No, that's against the law. Any place in North America. Where do I get it? From head office. Exit Realty Corp International. As long as head office pays you the bonus, it's legal. You can literally duplicate yourself, clone yourself, or multiply yourself and create leverage where there's never been any leverage before. Now you've got your production, and as your transactions close, now as Mary's transactions close in between the gaps, because you don't know when the closings are going to be, you've got little bonuses arriving. You can have as many people like Mary as you want right across the entire continent. If you were to pass down wisdom to her and show her how to hold an open house better, how to present an offer better, how to take a listing a little bit better, as her 20 becomes 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000, your 10% looks better, doesn't it? So you've got a vested interest in her growth. Really, real estate as an industry is a woman's business. Men just happen to be in it. Who relates better to the ownership of property than a woman? And now we've got an empathy-oriented company as opposed to an ego-driven company. Well, say for instance, since it does work, you went out and got two more just the same. You've got two more people earning approximately $60,000 a year. Okay, you've got three of them. 60,000, like I said, 10% of that is 6,000 times 3 now is $18,000 a year. As a result of just getting 3 signatures. $18,000 a year coming in through tapping into the energies of other people. It's not you running around in the rain any longer, it's them. And those bonuses are arriving as their transactions close. Would that perhaps help pay for one of your children going through university? Well, how much do I get paid if I sell a property? Participate from the selling standpoint in this business. We pay day one, $1, 70/30 on the first $100,000 of gross earned, 90/10 to balance annually. The most you can make per person per year is 10% of the first $100,000 gross, or $10,000.